A television trope is a plot device or theme used to advance the show's narrative. They're typically common and often overused. Think of them like cliches, but on a slightly more significant scale. Examples of famous ones include Boy Meets Girl, The Reluctant Hero, and the dreaded anticlimactic "It Was All Just a Dream" trope. As far as trope-heavy TV series go, Sherwood Schwartz's The Brady Bunch was especially guilty of overusing these worn-out devices. Join us as we take a look at this classic American sitcom and how it so brazenly chose to disregard originality and use all too familiar tropes. Cast incest. This one is fairly common. It happens when two actors from a TV series start dating in real life, even though they played family members on the show. For the Bradys, this situation played out on more than one occasion. The actor who played Greg Brady, Barry Williams, once went on a dinner date with Florence Henderson, the actress who played his mom on the show. When this happened, the media made it out to be a much bigger deal than it was. Barry and Florence never ended up in a serious relationship, but the two did end up making out at one of the many Brady reunions later on. He went on to say it was something he'd been meaning to do for a long time. Barry and Maureen McCormick also had a brief fling at one point. So did Eve Plum and Chris Knight. The misremembered catchphrase. Did you know the phrase "beam me up, Scotty" was never actually uttered on the original Star Trek series? Same goes for the line "Luke, I am your father" in Star Wars. On the Brady Bunch TV series, the line "Marcia, Marcia, Marcia" was only ever said once. It was popularized to the point that people thought it was a full-fledged catchphrase. It was parodied on programs like SNL and later in the Brady Bunch movie in 1995. Was it said? Yes, but it was never used to the extent you might remember it. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more of the tropes of the Brady Bunch. The Cast Showoff. Some actors are multi-talented. They might have a knack for things like singing, dancing, or even art, and the shows they're on will likely make it a point to make use of these skills at some point. Most of the time, this won't throw the plot of the show off too much. Viewers might even find a star's previously unknown talent to be pretty fascinating. That being said, it's not unusual for a show's plot to come to a dead stop just to allow for an actor to show off a bit. As far as the Bradys, this trope reared its ugly head in the several episodes that Eve Plum showed off the fact that she's one heck of an artist and stole the show, or the times that the series turned into a full-on musical whenever Florence Henderson decided to break out into song. You might recall that Henderson also sang the show's theme song. Follow the leader. When a show is successful enough, there are bound to be imitators that come along to cash in on the concept. At times, the offering that ends up becoming the most iconic wasn't even the original. While Sherwood Schwartz insisted he began developing the Brady Bunch years prior, it wasn't until 1968 that the show was finally greenlit. Earlier that year, the films Yours, Mine, and Ours and With Six You Get Egg Roll both hit theaters. The former ended up being one of the top 10 box office moneymakers that year. Both of those flicks dealt with the blended family drama after two parents who already had kids got married. As much as he liked to remind people that he had written the pilot for the Brady Bunch in 1966, Schwartz did admit it was the success of these two movies that led ABC to pick up his show. Milestone Celebrations. Creating a successful show is a complicated process. Many series fail to launch or get canceled before they attract a dedicated fan base. So when a show does manage to become successful, the producers of the program and the studio that backed it typically like to celebrate the major milestones it reaches. You might be familiar with shows that have had specials for their 100th episode. You also might see products like 10th anniversary box sets, or a film might be re-released in theaters for one of its major anniversaries. In 2019, CBS and its parent company, Paramount, celebrated the Brady's 50th anniversary with a special DVD box set of just about every Brady show and film they ever made. That same year, HGTV purchased the house used for exterior shots on the Brady Bunch and then joined forces with the Brady Kid actors to renovate its interior and backyard so they looked exactly like the original set. Not a toilet in sight. Back in the day, it was considered too risque to show a toilet on television. Beyond that, you hardly ever saw or heard about characters taking care of their necessary bodily functions. In one of the most infamous examples of this trope, the bathroom that the Brady kids shared lacked a toilet. the network flat out forbid them from showing a toilet bowl on the show, and the crew couldn't seem to figure out what angle they should use if a toilet was present, so they just omitted it entirely. The Unexplained Replacement. Sometimes a new actor has to be brought on to replace a character after an actor leaves the series. Many times, no explanation is given. One of the most famous examples of this was when Dick Sargent replaced Dick York as the character Darren on Bewitched. On the Brady Bunch, the most famous example of this trope was when Jerry Reichel was brought in to play Jan in the Brady spinoff The Very Brady Bunch Hour. Similarly, Cindy was played by a replacement actress in A Very Brady Christmas, and Marcia was swapped out for another Marcia on the Bradys. On a comparable note, midway through the first episode of the series, the animal performer who played the Brady family dog Tiger needed to be replaced due to the original canine's tragic death. Tiger continued to make appearances on the show until 1970. During that time, a number of different dogs played Tiger. Canon Clarification. Also known as the Word of God trope, this one refers to how a creator, director, or producer of a show will sometimes feel the need to clarify something on a series in order to clear up a question or plot point that was previously left ambiguous. Such statements will sometimes outright contradict previous events or statements. The pilot episode of The Brady Bunch makes it clear that Mike Brady's first wife had passed away, making him a widower. Sherwood Schwartz has said on a number of occasions that Carol was divorced. This was never said explicitly on the show, however, as discussion of divorce on TV at the time was considered taboo. A familiar face. At times, a guest actor will return to a series to play more than one character. On The Brady Bunch, Chris Beaumont, a popular teen actor at the time, played 4 different characters during the final 4 seasons of the show. He made his first appearance in the Season 2 episode Our Son the Man, playing a high school senior who Greg was fixated on emulating. In the Season 3 episode The Wheeler Dealer, he played the smooth-tongued hotshot Eddie, who tried to sell Greg a lemon of a car. In the Season 4 finale, A Room at the Top, Beaumont played a college sophomore named Hank. His most prominent role was playing unethical quarterback Jerry Rogers in the episode Quarterback Sneak. Directed by a member of the cast. Usually late in a series run, a cast member might get the notion in their head that they could do a good job directing an episode. At that point, they probably have been around long enough to know how things work. They also might simply feel a bit bored in their role. Robert Reed ended up directing 4 episodes of The Brady Bunch. He evidently did so partly to smooth over some of the tensions that had been going on behind the scenes between him and the show's producer. Now it's time to hear from you. Did we miss any tropes that you've noticed on The Brady Bunch? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.